Lisa Bluder sat down and did an exclusive interview with Sarah Spain to talk about the Caitlin Clark phenomena, the Caitlin Clark mania, and where do we go from here? Guys, for this one here,
Lisa Bluder just sat down for a podcast interview that's revealing things about Caitlin Clark nobody knew before. The former Iowa coach got brutally honest about why she really retired, what Caitlin was like behind closed doors, and the one thing about coaching her that drove Lisa absolutely crazy. This conversation is dropping bombs left and right. Did you know about Lisa Bluder's real reasons for retiring, or did you think it was just because Caitlin graduated? Drop your thoughts below. Lisa Bluder just did an interview with Sarah Spain, and let me tell you, this woman held nothing back. For years, everyone assumed Lisa retired because Caitlin graduated and she'd accomplished everything there was to accomplish. 2 championship game appearances, historic success, the perfect send-off. But turns out there was way more to the story.
Clearly you know a thing or two about recruiting, because we had Muffet McGraw and she talked about recruiting Caitlin, getting her to commit to Notre Dame, and then, Caitlin changed her mind and went to Iowa. What do you remember about that? And was there any hard sell at the last minute for you to get her to make the switch?
No, the sell came earlier, right? I mean, once she told us she was not coming to Iowa, she was going to Notre Dame, it was over. I mean, we didn't pry into that. But we did notice, okay, she hasn't posted anything after she cut us. Now it's weeks are passing, and so I think we put a call into our AAU coach just to find out what was going on. And I realized then that she wasn't fully on board with her decision to go to Notre Dame. And so there was no sell at the end. She called me up, and I can remember exactly where I was sitting. I can remember the restaurant my husband and I were having, what we were eating when she called. I went out into the alley to get because I knew I was going to be exuberant if she, did commit to us. And she said, "Do you still have a spot for me?" Yes, yeah. I do. It didn't take long. So there was no sell at the end. The sell happened really in the years leading up to that decision.
Lisa straight up said she didn't like the direction college basketball was heading. The NIL collectives, the pay-for-play model, the way the entire structure of college athletics was changing into something she didn't recognize anymore. And honestly, she's not alone. Nick Saban retired from Alabama football for similar reasons. These legendary coaches saw the writing on the wall and decided they wanted no part of it. The NIL situation exploded right around the time Caitlin was at Iowa. Football players like Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter were getting multi-million-dollar deals. Arch Manning became the highest-paid college quarterback before ever taking a snap. Caitlin got huge NIL money. Angel Reese, as much as people hate to admit it, also cashed in big time. The game changed overnight. Lisa said she doesn't mind players being able to use their name, image, and likeness to make money. She actually thinks athletes should have been allowed to do that years ago. What bothers her is the collectives, the organized groups that are essentially paying players' salaries to attend certain schools. That crossed a line for her. She talked about how college athletics lost touch with why athletes are actually there. The value of education, the lessons you learn from participating in sports, the team-first mentality. All of that took a backseat to me-first attitudes driven by who could pay players the most money. Lisa didn't want to coach in that environment, so she left.
I think the best part about coaching Caitlin was just seeing her behind the scenes. Just being a part of her life off the basketball court too. I mean, the basketball court provided all the wow moments, right? I mean, I got wow moments in practice, seeing some of the things that she did, the passes she made, and the scoring, and just the lack of fear that she had. But to me, the highlights is probably the fun times, being in COVID and going down to San Antonio and being locked in the La Quinta Hotel with your team.
Excuse me, I'm sure it wasn't Inns and Suites.
We had a slogan.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Lisa started talking about Caitlin, and you could hear the emotion in her voice. She's clearly proud of what Caitlin accomplished, but she also gave us details about Caitlin's personality that we've never heard before. The behind-the-scenes Caitlin that doesn't show up on camera.
So we got to move over to the Marriott when we made the Sweet 16. But, those are the times that you just remember is the goofy Caitlin, the Caitlin that, is not on show, but just being herself. And because she honestly is one of the most enjoyable people to be around. She's funny.
Yeah.
She laughs hard and she loves big. And when she gets your trust, she loves big.
Lisa said the best part about coaching Caitlin was seeing her off the court. The goofy side, the fun side, the Caitlin who wasn't performing for millions of people. She talked about being locked in the hotel during COVID tournaments in San Antonio and how they had a slogan, live, love, laugh, Lita. That's the kind of bonding experience that creates lifelong relationships. According to Lisa, Caitlin is one of the most enjoyable people to be around. She's funny, she laughs hard, and when she trusts you, she loves big. That's a side of Caitlin the public never sees. All we get is the competitive, focused, serious version. But Lisa got to experience the real person behind all the hype. Then Lisa dropped something that probably shocked a lot of people. She said the toughest part about coaching Caitlin was that she could be stubborn. And Lisa admitted she's stubborn too, so sometimes they clashed. But the key was that Caitlin always wanted to learn and wanted to be her best, so she took coaching well, even when it was hard to hear. The biggest challenge was teaching Caitlin how to play with teammates. In high school, Caitlin did everything herself. She could dominate games single-handedly and win that way. But college is different. You can't win alone, no matter how good you are. Caitlin had to learn how to trust her teammates and make them better. Lisa told a story about Caitlin complaining that her teammates weren't shooting as much as she was. Lisa's response was perfect. Well, you're not bringing them to the gym with you. That's coach talk for, you can't expect them to be as obsessed as you are. Caitlin had to learn that not everyone operates at her level of intensity, and that's okay. You work with what you have. But Lisa emphasized that Caitlin did learn those lessons. She became a great teammate at Iowa, and Lisa thinks that carried over to the Fever. From the outside, it looks like Caitlin has genuine camaraderie with her WNBA teammates. There's joy there, there's chemistry. The lessons from Iowa stuck. Sarah Spain made a Michael Jordan comparison, which is bold but accurate. She talked about Jordan's famous practice with the Dream Team, where he dominated everyone to prove a point. Caitlin had a similar moment at Iowa, where her team was down in practice, and she came back and scored an insane amount of points in like a minute. That killer instinct is rare. The challenge for players like Caitlin and Jordan is learning how to channel that competitiveness into making teammates better instead of frustrating them. It's not an easy thing to do, especially when you're young and used to carrying everything yourself. But Caitlin figured it out, and that's why she's continuing to improve. Then, the conversation shifted to the toxicity around Caitlin's first year in the WNBA. The rivalry with Angel Reese that the media manufactured and blew completely out of proportion. Lisa was disappointed. She said there was so much else to talk about in the league, but the media fixated on creating drama between two young women just starting their careers. Lisa called it out directly, said the whole thing was created by the media and that it was unfortunate for both players. They didn't need that extra pressure. They didn't need to be pitted against each other constantly. The WNBA should be getting attention for great basketball, not manufactured beef. That's real talk from someone who's been around the game for decades. Lisa understands how damaging that kind of coverage can be, especially for young players trying to find their way in a new league. The Caitlin versus Angel narrative probably hurt both of them, more than it helped either of their brands.
Over the course of my career now, obviously I've been away for 2 years and she has now since retired. But I think like one thing that was probably super impactful on myself and all of my teammates is we always had like a breast cancer game or a cancer game, and she would always bring in cancer survivors that got to kind of tell their story, but also the impact our team had on people and how much joy we could bring to them, because those people were huge Iowa women's basketball fans, and them getting to spend a day with us like meant the world to them. So I think it put like great perspective, not only on, you know, basketball, but like what we get to do for other people.
But let's go back to what Lisa said about Caitlin's transition from high school to college. That's a crucial detail that explains a lot about Caitlin's development. She had to completely change her mentality. In high school, she was the star who could do everything. In college, she had to become a leader who elevated others. That's not an easy adjustment, and clearly Caitlin struggled with it initially. The fact that she figured it out and became the player and teammate she needed to be shows incredible growth. A lot of high school stars never make that leap. They stay selfish. They stay focused only on their own stats and success. Caitlin evolved. Lisa's comment about Caitlin being stubborn is interesting because we rarely hear negative things about her personality. Everyone always talks about how humble she is, how team-oriented, how professional. But stubborn makes sense. You don't become great without being stubborn. You have to believe in yourself even when others doubt you. The fact that Lisa admitted she's stubborn too adds another layer. Two stubborn people working together can either create magic or disaster. Clearly, they created magic because Iowa had unprecedented success during Caitlin's time there. But you know, there were moments behind closed doors where they butted heads. The COVID stories are fascinating because that was such a weird time for everyone, being locked in hotels for weeks during tournaments, creating slogans just to keep team morale up. Those experiences bonded that Iowa team in ways normal seasons never could have. And Caitlin was right in the middle of it, learning how to be part of something bigger than herself. Lisa mentioned the crossover game at Kinnick Stadium, and that really was a watershed moment for women's basketball. Over 55,000 people showed up to watch Iowa play in a football stadium. Women were crying in the stands because they were so moved by what it represented for women's athletics. They raised $250,000 for the Children's Hospital. They proved that women's basketball could fill massive venues. They showed what's possible when women support each other instead of tearing each other down. And Caitlin was the driving force behind all of it. Lisa said that moment was more meaningful to her than even the championship game appearances. Because it wasn't just about basketball. It was about changing culture. It was about creating opportunities. It was about showing young girls that they matter and their dreams are valid. The way Lisa talked about Caitlin, you could tell there's genuine love there. Not just coach-player respect, but real affection. Lisa coached Caitlin through some of the most important years of her life, from teenager to adult, from high school star to cultural phenomenon. That creates a bond that doesn't break. When Lisa talked about Caitlin learning to love big when she trusts you, that says something important about Caitlin's personality. She's not someone who gives her trust easily, but once you earn it, you have it completely. That's loyalty. That's depth of character that goes beyond basketball. The stubbornness that Lisa mentioned is probably what makes Caitlin great. You have to be stubborn to take the shots she takes, to have the confidence she has, to play with the fearlessness that defines her game. Stubbornness becomes a strength when it's channeled correctly. But it also means Caitlin probably drove Lisa crazy at times. When you're coaching someone who's that talented and that strong-willed, you can't just tell them what to do. You have to convince them. You have to show them why something will work. That's exhausting, but ultimately more effective. Lisa's point about the transfer portal and NIL losing touch with education is valid, but also a bit old school. The reality is college athletics has been a business for a long time. Schools were making millions off these players while the players got nothing. NIL just leveled the playing field slightly, but Lisa's concern about the me-first mentality is legitimate. When players are getting paid different amounts based on their NIL deals, it creates tension in locker rooms. It creates jealousy. It makes it harder to build that team-first culture that Lisa valued so much. The fact that Lisa doesn't regret retiring tells you everything you need to know. She's at peace with her decision. She watched the game she loved turn into something she didn't want to be part of anymore. Rather than complain or try to fight it, she walked away with her legacy intact. And what a legacy it is. Multiple championship game appearances, developing one of the greatest women's basketball players ever, creating moments like Kinnick Stadium that transcended sports. Lisa Bluder's impact on women's basketball can't be overstated. The way she defended Caitlin and Angel from the media narrative shows she still cares deeply about her former players and the sport in general. She could have stayed silent. Instead, she called out the media for creating unnecessary drama and potentially damaging two young careers. This interview revealed that coaching Caitlin Clark wasn't all highlights and wow moments. It was work. It was challenging. It required patience and persistence to help Caitlin become not just a great player, but a great teammate. And Lisa put in that work because she saw Caitlin's potential beyond just basketball. Lisa Bluder just gave us the most honest look at Caitlin Clark we've ever gotten from someone who actually knows her. This interview proved there's so much more to the story than what we see on the court. If you want more content breaking down what's really happening in basketball, hit that like button and subscribe. Drop your thoughts in the comments below.